The number of COVID-19 cases continues to rise globally and right here in Guyana. Therefore, we encourage everyone to practice social distancing. Wear a mask if you have to leave your homes and wash your hands thoroughly and frequently as we all strive to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Welcome to InfoHub for Monday, June 8th. Thanks for joining us. President David Granger, in an address to the nation over the weekend, called on all Guyanese to await the completion of all 4 stages of the national recount and to refrain from character assassination of the GCOM chair. More in this report.
President David Granger is urging all Guyanese to await the completion of the 4 stages of the national recount process before jumping to conclusions. In an address to the nation, the head of state outlined those 4 stages as 1. The recount of the ballots cast on Elections Day, 2. The report of the recount, 3. The review of the report, and 4. The declarations of results of the process.
I encourage everyone to respect the chairman of the Elections Commission and the commissioners, and to desist from scurrility, vulgarity, and character assassination. The commission must be allowed to perform its functions in accordance with the Constitution. Guyanese, I encourage everyone to await the completion of the 4 stages: the current recount, the reports of the Chief Election Officer and the CARICOM observers, the review by the Elections Commission, and the declaration of the final results by the chairman of the Elections Commission.
He noted that the recount stage will come to an end soon, which will pave the way for the compilation of a report by the Chief Elections Officer. The Chief Elections Officer, he noted, is obligated to present a matrix of results from each electoral district, coupled with a summary of the observation reports from each electoral district. The report from the CARICOM team will also be sent to the Elections Commission and will receive full consideration.
Everyone is aware of the numerous reports of irregularities, including unstamped ballots, deceased and migrant voters, and missing poll books. Those irregularities appear to have been committed intentionally, not accidentally, and demonstrate a pattern of manipulation of the electoral process. The Chief Elections Officer, in the circumstances, is obliged to present a matrix of the poll results of each electoral district, together with a summary of the observation reports of each electoral district to the Election Commission. It is expected that, given the exceptional interests of the Caribbean heads of government and the extraordinary exertions of the CARICOM scrutinizing team, their report will be sent to the Elections Commission and will receive the fullest consideration.
The compiled report will be submitted to the Elections Commission for a review by the commissioners. Thereafter, a declaration of the results will be made after the chairman of the Elections Commission, retired Justice Claudette Singh, has studied the report from the Chief Elections Officer and the observation reports. President Granger reiterated his pledge to accept the declarations of the results by the Elections Commission. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Minister of Public Health, the Honorable Walter Lawrence, is concerned that persons are becoming complacent and they're not adhering to the emergency measures implemented to slow the spread of COVID-19. Delicia Haynes has the details.
From May 31 to June 5, 2020, Guyana has recorded no new cases of coronavirus. During that period, it may have seemed as though persons may have forgotten that coronavirus is a deadly disease and anyone can be affected by it. The Public Health Minister reacted to this.
Very worried because Guyanese are not following the guidelines. And what has happened is that while we have not seen positive cases, we still need to see more testing. And we still believe that there is, 1, persons who feel that there is no COVID, that this thing is all a political gimmick. We also have persons who feel that can happen to somebody else, but not me.
It was noted that a large part of the population is quickly returning to normal by not wearing a face mask, not practicing social distancing, not sanitizing or washing hands. Even further, there has been an increase in social gathering at places where the emergency orders do not allow for this. This puts the country at risk for another spike in positive cases being reported.
I want to ask you to be double vigilant at this time. I know that you may want to go out and visit friends and family and all of that, but just ensure that you stay in your house when the curfew is on, and ensure that once you step out, you put on a face mask. Wash your hands and do what is necessary.
The minister made reference to neighboring Suriname, which had initially reported just 10 cases, all of which had recovered. The country was in full lockdown after they learned of the coronavirus presence, but has since reopened. They have now been forced to return to a lockdown for the second time. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
The APNU plus AFC coalition again expressed concerns over the state of affairs at the Guyana Elections Commission, and they cautioned that the elections body cannot use any fraudulent votes to declare credible results of the March 2 polls.
With the recount process completed, the coalition in a release reminded of the massive evidence of electoral fraud affecting over 84,000 votes. To this end, the coalition said there is no option but for GCOM to reject all ballots in all 10 districts that cannot be validated. Not only were the elections tainted, but according to the coalition, electoral fraud was committed to subvert the will of the Guyanese people. The coalition said it now awaits to hear from the right-thinking people of Guyana and GCOM in that regard, since as a result of the revelations and exposures, there can only be one legitimate conclusion following the recount process. Turning its attention to the lower east coast of Demerara, the coalition said the votes which cannot be validated there alone amount to tens of thousands. It noted too that what was uncovered in the ballot boxes from polling places on the lower east coast of Demerara provides unequivocal and incontrovertible evidence that massive and systematic electoral fraud was unleashed on March 2. It said the pattern is clear and shows where the APNU AFC won, the documents are in the boxes, but where the PPP won, the documents are missing. According to the coalition, numerous sealed ballot boxes exclusively in PPP stronghold areas, when opened, were missing all relevant documents legally required to legitimize the process. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
The Guyana Elections Commission has reminded that it is the only constitutional authority that can pronounce on election results. In a recent statement, the Commission said it has noted the reports in sections of the media and by individuals on several social media platforms announcing the results of the March 2, 2020 general and regional elections. The Commission reminds that it is the only constitutional authority mandated to pronounce on the elections results. As a result, the elections body is urging all political parties, organizations, interest groups, and individuals to desist from pronouncing publicly on the results of the elections. More news is after the break. Stay with us.
Meet Terence and Shabana. Both believe they've been exposed to COVID-19 and were advised by the Ministry of Public Health to quarantine themselves at home. It's a normal working day, and Terence grows tired of home quarantine guidelines. So he heads off to work using public transportation. Now all the passengers and his co-workers are in danger of contracting COVID-19 from Terence. After work, Terence heads straight to the gym for daily exercise. He shares the same exercise equipment with many others that day. Later on that evening too, Terence heads off to play several rounds of dominoes with some friends. By breaking the quarantine rules, Terence has endangered the lives of the passengers, his co-workers, members of his gym, and his friends with whom he played dominoes. By contrast, Shabana practices social distancing. She works from home every day, and in the evenings, she video chats with her family and friends to stay connected. Shabana is also obeying all the guidelines that the Ministry of Public Health says we follow when quarantined at home. Shabana has infected no one. Let's all do our part and practice physical and social distancing by avoiding unnecessary travels and staying home from large groups of people, including our families and friends. A message from the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO. For more information, visit our website at www.health.gov.gy or visit our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page.
Thanks for staying with us. Teachers and auxiliary staff across the country today returned to schools as preparations for the National Grade 6 Assessment, the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, and Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examinations begin. Here are the details.
Beginning June 15, students will return to schools, so teachers and other school staff are in preparation mode to ensure that students can perform their best at their upcoming exams. Teachers will be given face shields for use during instruction hours. These and other health interventions have been put in place by the Ministry of Education amid COVID-19 concerns. Additionally, sweeper cleaners are being trained in infection prevention and control practices. Sanitization kits and stations, along with temperature checks, are among other health assurances being made by the ministry. The safety of teachers matters to the Ministry of Education, and as such, teachers who have pre-existing conditions are not required to work during this period. Additionally, physical distancing stickers and other signage will be employed. Only 15 students will be allowed in each classroom, and classes will not be held every day. Grade 6 students will sit the NGSA on July 1 and 2, and the ministry has decided to have all local candidates eligible for all these exams use the traditional paper-based modality. CSEC and CAPE are expected to begin on July 13 and end by August 4. Natisha Isaacs, for Info Hub.
After months of being stranded in the United States due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a decision taken by the National COVID-19 Task Force has brought home the first group of Guyanese on Saturday. Let's take a look.
Behind me is an Eastern Airlines flight that has landed at the Chedijagan International Airport with approximately 137 Guyanese that were stranded in Miami. As citizens make their way onto the tarmac, they will be sanitized by staff from the Ministry of Public Health, after which they will enter the airport for screening.
Welcoming our countrymen and women was Minister of Public Health, the Honorable Valda Lawrence, who praised CJIA staff for following the health protocols necessary for fighting COVID-19. The minister said Saturday's repatriation flight was possible through the continuous work of all ministries, agencies, and stakeholders.
The fact that today we can be able to open the airport for Guyanese who are in various countries. Today specifically we looked at the USA to begin to come home. It's because we would have been able to put in place several elements needed to ensure that we can be able to cushion any effects that will spill out from persons traveling from high-risk country to Guyana.
With a mandatory 7-day quarantine in effect, the minister said the Surveillance Department of the Public Health Ministry will remain in contact with the citizens to ensure compliance with health guidelines. The minister further noted the Health Emergency Operations Department also stands ready to address any possible cases should one of the returned citizens later test positive for COVID-19. Many of the passengers that arrived were in high spirits to be back home.
This is the best country in the world. There's no place like home. It is so nice to be back home and to see nice, welcoming faces.
That was 84-year-old John Quayle, who was stranded for 3 months and 6 days in Miami. He said he plans to abide by the health guidelines set out by the NCTF.
You got to make sure you adhere to the regulations and do what is necessary and keep safe.
A number of other persons, while relishing in the joyous moment to be in Guyana, pledged to be compliant with the health guidelines.
It feels great to be back, no place like home. First of all, I'll stay at home for the 7 days that I have to, as mandated by this. And then I will be working from home and I will not be going out much. And if I really have to go out for necessities, I'm going to make sure I wear my mask.
It feels really good to be back home. For 7 days at home, nobody with me and gentle Jesus alone.
According to the Director General of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Lieutenant Colonel Egbert Field, more repatriation flights are expected during the second week of June.
Reporting from the Chedijagan International Airport with videographer Akeem Thomas, Shaquille Bourne, for InfoHub.
Remember to do your part to ensure that you do not put yourself at risk during this time. If you have a cough, fever, or difficulty breathing, please seek medical care early, but call that hotline first. Please remember that the curfew remains in effect until June 17th. That's all for today. Connect with us on our social media platforms, including WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, as we bring you the latest and important news related to COVID-19 and much more. You can also subscribe to our website, dpi.gov.gy. Your Bridge Report is up next. Goodbye for now.